So welcome back. In this second part of this tutorial, I will show you how to mesh this cyclone now. So we go to block mesher. We need to select the shape and go to the geometry and then import selected from viewer. So we can then hide this and then collapse this section. So what we have here is you can, in the visualization group, you can toggle the view from shader to wireframe. This will make it easier for you to select edges, I guess. And in the shaded view, you can change the opacity, the transparency. You can hit this button to get a view for the sub-solids. So it will shrink the sub-solids and create a wireframe view in the outer section. So also you can shrink the mesh after creating the mesh. So what we need to do is in the mesh section, hit right click and we need to add sizing. What you can do is select each entity, each edge one by one, or you can create groups, selection groups. So let me show you different kind of options. So if we start from the bottom section, the cone section, if I hit one edge and I pass this edge with the plus button, and then hit highlighting, you see your edges that you selected and passed to the sizing group. What you can also do is, after selecting one, hit this button P, it will propagate. So it will select all the edges that correspond to the same sizing setting. If you would take one of the edges here and define new divisions, it will contradict to the selections previously. Okay, so now we selected all the edges over here. Next thing is on the cylindrical sections, you can also select one. Create new sizing, add it, and then propagate, then highlight. You will see all the contradicting edges will be grouped together. So that will prevent that you create contradicting values. You can also rename this like bottom vertical and this like midsection vertical. Same thing, propagate. So select all of these, rename, right click, rename, like top vertical, and then of course here add propagate, highlight, that will be topmost vertical. As for sizings, you can create the divisions, like let us take 20 here, 20 here, and let us take like 8 to make it nearly same size, and here would be like 6 or something like that. If you want to look what the mesh until now will look like, you can hit this red button and you will get the mesh up until now. So we basically only changed a couple of the settings here, so you won't see much. After this, what's remaining are the radial sizing, I guess. So if I hit this, propagate and then highlight, you will see there are still some edges missing. I could select a couple of these, propagate, and that might be okay, I guess. So as for sizing, I don't know, like 10 for example. Okay, you can rename it or not. Hit the mesh, and then click maybe this one, hit new sizing group, propagate, and let us select 10 also maybe. And finally, these ones. I don't know which value you wanna take here. Let's take also 10 maybe. And after this, I will show you one trick. If you want to enable grading, you should change the growth rate here. When I change the growth rate, you might get the wrong direction, and if I hit this arrow button, you will see the natural direction of each of the edges right here. If I hit on highlight, you will see the highlighted edges over here. So I want the growth rate to go from outside to the inside, because here's the wall. So I can select all the edges that are highlighted and that I want to reverse the direction of the growth rate. And after selection, I will hit on this icon that shows arrows showing in other directions, and that will change the highlight color from red to orange. As for these buttons over here, same thing. Change direction. Select one by one. And as you can see, the grading goes now from the wall to the intersection. You need to play around with the settings to get your size that you want. So the last setting for the sizing we need is right over here for these four, and here I don't know what value you wanna take. So if I take 10, now the problematic part right over here would be these cells. So if I hide the geometry, you need to play around with the settings if you want to investigate what's happening inside. You can activate the clipper, look inside, deactivate. You can hit this VTK button and it will pass the mesh right over here to this. And you can also investigate the quality. I think the part that will mess up the simulation will be right over here. It has a high or non-orthogonal value. You need to play around with the settings to get a good grading and good transition from this to the Cyclone body part. Also, how do we create patches? Now for patches we need to select obviously faces, so activate face selection, hit this, and if you highlight you will see that's going to be a patch, and we will call it the net, and here we need to select change the opacity, so hit the control button. Right click, add patch. This, no, we forgot this one. Okay. Laptop. Outlet bottom, and we need to create bezels. Now what you see here is the face numbering, and that will correspond to these, but I think that's kind of too confusing. So right click face height. So what we need is we need to select these and create a internal wall. It's going to be, I think one is missing. That's going to be a wall, and we will call it the vortex finder. Vortex finder, it will be a bevel basically. but I didn't need to recreate the mesh. So when I pass to the VTK viewer, that will call the OpenFoam reader, so we can investigate if we correctly created the patches all at bottom. All at top, Vortex Finder, and then the default wall. Everything what is not defined as something, the outer patch will be put into one wall patch. So after the meshing, you can export your mesh by hitting this button. That will create or open a window that you can navigate to your case, and then you can export your mesh. And do not forget to run renumber mesh. That is crucial. So thank you for watching, and see you in our next tutorial.